remote working and you're thinking about Hawaii, you're not alone and you're not crazy. So there's many reasons why Hawaii is a great choice, and there's a reason why remote workers are making the change to come to Hawaii. And I'll go over some of the reasons why, including infrastructure considerations, time zone considerations, what it means for your family, and many different things. You know, I'm uniquely positioned to talk on the subject because that's how I ended up coming to Hawaii in the first place. So I'm going to go over many of these points. Stay tuned. You know, while you're working in Hawaii, there's a lot of considerations. And it's not just that your colleagues are going to say, hey, that person's working in Hawaii, maybe they resent it a little bit. No, there's some very practical things to consider. And let's go over some of them. So the first thing to think about is the infrastructure you're using. Hawaii actually has some great options for internet. And we're talking about Spectrum, which is some great internet. And then there's also Hawaii Telecom. So those are two options that I have. And the internet speed from both has just been amazing. Now, cell service, on the other hand, can be very spotty depending on where you're going. And this is where a little homework is required. The closer you are to the centers of population, the better your cell service is going to be. But just last week, I was in Kauai with family, and there were many spots where we had very limited cell service. So infrastructure is definitely a consideration. All right, something that people don't necessarily think about are the compliance aspects. So your employer is based on the mainland. You are going to be working in Hawaii. So from a tax standpoint, you will be taxed as a Hawaii resident, which Hawaii actually has a pretty high tax rate. The other thing is being actually set up properly with your employer. So it's important that you work with your employer, that they understand you're working from Hawaii, because for legal reasons, you want to have that all set up correctly. Think about healthcare. If your employer does provide healthcare, if they don't, there are going to be healthcare considerations as well. So it's important you look into those. The other thing to consider is where in Hawaii you want to consider moving to. So maybe you have an idea, maybe you don't. So if you're just starting out, Hawaii really has 4 major islands. Big Island, which is also called the island of Hawaii. You've got Maui. You've got Oahu, which has Honolulu and Waikiki. And then you've also got Kauai. So which island is the best fit for what you want? It really comes down to lifestyle. Each one has different pros and cons. And then it's going back to the infrastructure, you know, some islands like Oahu, very populated, very much like the mainland. And then you get down to maybe Kauai being the most rural and not as much infrastructure, but a slower pace of life. Let's talk about the time zone real quick. So with a time zone, you're behind everybody else. If it's just the West Coast, you're looking at 3 hours. If it's the East Coast, it's 6 hours. In the winter, that changes. The winter months, time doesn't change here in Hawaii, so it's only 5 hours and 2 hours. But two very important considerations. Being in the mortgage industry, if I work with East Coast lenders, I really have to get up early and make sure I'm communicating with them, because their day can end at 10 a.m. my time. That doesn't give you much time to get stuff done if they're on the East Coast. West Coast, much easier. Really getting up early here, it's easy to do. And by the way, when you're working in those time zones, your day ends very much earlier. So it gives you that much more time to go out and do some things. Let's talk relocation considerations. You're moving. What are you going to do? Are you going to keep your stuff on the mainland? Is it a permanent move? If it's a permanent move, you really need to pare down what it is that you're taking with you. So when we made the move, we got one of those mobile pods, filled the pod. It ended up being shipped through the company, brought here to Hawaii, dropped in my driveway, and we emptied it that way. That was a great option. But you need to look into the moving considerations, whether it's Matson, whether it's Pasha, moving your car, all those things. There's lots of moving parts and you need to look through all of them. Let's talk about island fever. It's a real thing. When you're here in Hawaii, sure, there's a lot of amazing things to do, but you're going to miss some of the amenities that you've been used to if you're coming from the mainland. You're going to miss your big stores. Well, it all comes down to which island you're on as well. If you're on Hawaii Island or Kauai or Maui, you're going to miss some of those amenities. So island fever is just something you got to take care of. Take your trips back to the mainland. So another thing that's really important is family considerations, whether it's your spouse or your kids. What are they going to be doing, right? So if your spouse is coming with you, are they going to be remote working, or are they going to be not working or finding a job locally? All considerations. If they're not working at all and they need to find a community to be a part of, it's important to research those things before you move out here. If you have children in school, that's a consideration. School here in Hawaii is very tricky. So there's a lot of different options. There's private schooling, there's charter schooling, there's local schooling, and it's very important to do the work on the community that you're moving into to understand that your children can easily assimilate into the school structure that that community has. For us personally, we did a lot of homeschooling and that's worked well for us. So schooling is definitely a consideration. So let's talk about the most important thing to consider about relocating and remote working in Hawaii, and that is the Hawaiian culture. There is a very long history and a people and a culture and a way that things happen here in Hawaii that you not only need to be prepared for, but you need to plan to be a part of. So respecting the local culture is absolutely very paramount, or else it's not going to work out. And that means the way people do things around here, especially on the smaller islands. We're talking about the way people communicate. It's slowing down and talking to people. It's never interrupting or assuming that what your needs are more important than others. It's taking the time to listen and understand and see how you can contribute to your community. Being a part of community here and displaying the aloha that you want to receive in return is absolutely critical. So you've done the research and you're excited to consider moving to Hawaii. It's expensive here. Homes start anywhere from 900,000 to $1 million in most areas. But the good news is that they can be purchased with as little as 5% down, maybe even less. So reach out if you've got questions, not just about buying here in Hawaii, but maybe remote working as well. I would love to be a resource. Until then, take care. Aloha.